Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Winds are whipping here at home and across Southern California, sparking fears of fires, which means thousands in Kern County have had their power shut off. The U.S. set some grim records in the coronavirus pandemic with the most deaths ever reported in a single day yesterday. A look at recommendations ahead of the holidays. And a homelessness documentary features the streets of Kern County and the work being done locally to get people back into housing. Today is Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. Good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for starting your day with us here for 17 News at Sunrise. I'm Alex Fisher along with Maddie Jansen, and boy, if you're up early this morning, it's probably because you were woken up by the winds that are howling across Kern County. Maddie, I know here in the valley, we're definitely seeing those gusty winds. I can only imagine what it's like up in the mountains.
Yeah, it's very loud. It woke me up a few times last night. I'm pretty sure that all the remaining leaves on the trees are gone by now, as maybe some people's Christmas decorations, unfortunately. And I'm not affected by the public safety power shutoffs, but I know that a lot of people in the mountain communities are right now. Yeah,
it's definitely something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on because, again, we're not just talking about the gusty winds, but we're also talking about the dry conditions. And unfortunately, we're seeing in Southern California some fires breaking out. We'll have more on that throughout the morning. But first, we do begin with those winds. It's been a windy night for Southern California, including us here in Kern County. Take a look. Yeah, high winds throughout the area leading to some serious problems, downing power lines and causing trouble on our roadways. And just taking you outside this morning, here's a live look in downtown Bakersfield. You can see from our Adventist Health camera, it's shaking just a little bit. About an hour ago, it was really shaking. But it looks like, and you can see the gusts when the gusts push through. But this is just one look outside this morning, and although you can't see the dust necessarily at this hour because it's still dark outside, you can definitely see our camera shaking, and that's all because of those gusty winds. And it's even worse in San Diego County right now, where deputies had to go door to door to warn residents about a brush fire quickly spreading due to the winds and threatening homes. Officials ordered people to evacuate as the flames spread. And this morning, around 200 homes had to be evacuated. A temporary evacuation site was set up at a cinema complex nearby. The brush fire has been holding at 15 acres, which is good news. But the dangerous fire conditions forced San Diego Gas and Electric to shut off power to more than 22,000 homes and businesses yesterday. The same here in Kern County, with thousands of homes in the dark this morning as two utility companies cut power. Nearly 5,000 Southern California Edison customers had their power cut, and another 9,900 are under consideration. SoCal Edison says the areas affected include Bear Valley Springs, Tehachapi, Golden Hills, Frazier Park, and Lebec. The utility says the remaining customers under consideration could have their power shut off anytime between now through Saturday morning. And Pacific Gas and Electric also cut power to some customers last night. 617 homes and businesses in Kern, primarily in the Fort Tejon and Lebec areas, lost power due to those high winds and the fire danger in the forecast. Affected customers have already been notified. PG&E says if the weather improves this afternoon, they will begin inspecting their power lines and then eventually turn the electricity back on. Of course, this is what we're seeing in our area right now. Kevin Charette standing by with a look at our forecast, and he was talking about this is what we were going to see, in the coming days. And sure enough, here are the winds. And boy, Kev, even though you've talked about it, it's still kind of shocking to see how gusty they are.
Yeah, and as we go throughout the morning, I'm going to be back and forth. I've got numerous computers up right now, and with doing weather from home, there may be a little bit of a lag time as I open one computer and go to the next. But yeah, we've been talking about these winds. We've got them strong in Southern California. We're talking about the Silverado fire that broke out. That is just east of Santa Ana, close to Irvine and Orange. So we'll be talking more about that fire as we go throughout the morning. But we also want to talk about our watches and warnings. Now, earlier when we saw the gusty winds around the area, we were looking at an aviation warning out at Meadows Field. So they were warning aircraft that they were flying into Meadows Field to be very cautious because of the crosswinds. And now that has been canceled out. We're still seeing some gusty winds. As I look out my window, fairly calm right now, but I did see a few higher gusts just a few minutes ago. The wind advisory is still in place until 4 p.m. this afternoon. So we do expect still that wind to hang around, but I think it'll get better as we progress throughout the afternoon. And then the high fire danger for the Kern County mountains. That is in place until 6 p.m. because we're still expecting that offshore wind. And when we see that offshore wind, we get that drier air. It's an easterly wind. Want to take you to our camera in downtown, and you can see it moving up and down. That's on top of our satellite tower on KGET. Let's take a look at the current conditions. 61 degrees, and you can see we've got a sustained wind out at the airport, out of the east-southeast at 25, and we have seen some gusts right around 35, 40. Here's a look at the temperatures as we progress into the afternoon. Upper 60s, possibly even some lower 70s. Always that easterly downsloping wind can really warm things up around the valley, so it's real tricky on temperatures. 39 degrees in Tehachapi right now. You can see that southeast wind sustained. That means it's constant at 21 miles per hour, and you can see on our winds profile here where the strongest of the winds are into the Kern County mountains from the Grapevine through the 58 and even up into the Kern River Valley, and then spreading west into the valley locations as well. Mountain forecast today calling for the lower 50s. I'm going to have much more on this forecast coming up in just a little bit. For now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. And lanes are back open this morning along Interstate 5 at the Grapevine after a semi-truck caught fire and forced some closures. Take a look at this video. It happened yesterday afternoon, and 17 News viewer Alita Blanco sent this video into our newsroom. According to Caltrans, a big rig caught fire in the southbound lanes near the base of the Grapevine. The flames spread to nearby brush, and the smoke was so thick, Caltrans actually had to shut down the northbound lanes near Fort Tejon as well.
5:06 is your time now. Kern County Public Health announced 323 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday, along with 2 new deaths. Health officials continue to say that people are testing positive for this virus at a rate not seen in months. Our positivity rate is 13.4%. That is more than double the state's average. 115 people are being treated for the virus in local hospitals, according to the health department. 451 people have died from the virus since the pandemic began in March. Health officials continue to urge people to get tested even if you don't feel sick. Kern Public Health has an all-in-one place where you can find your nearest testing site. Just go to kernpublichealth.com and click the COVID-19 section. Meantime, as case numbers rise drastically here in Kern and around the country, local school districts are again shutting down in-person instruction, affecting how well students can learn and putting a strain on parents.
It's such a worry. Even as an adult, it's hard to learn math over a computer, or like with my kindergartner, how to grip a pencil the right way. And unless they have somebody there with them, it's really difficult, and I just feel like they're going to fall further behind.
Aside from potential learning setbacks, Nicole Towery is also worried about missing out on work due to the need for her to stay home with her children. Kern High School District and the Bakersfield City School District are pausing in-person classes starting this week. Meanwhile, public health experts say the first doses of a COVID-19 vaccine could come this month. The state decides who gets them first, and there are no plans yet to vaccinate teachers. So that brings us to our interactive feedback poll this morning. We're asking, do you agree with KHSD and BCSD's decision to pause in-person learning? Call or text us at 888-4617. Press 1 if yes and 2 if no. You can also text, tweet, email, or Facebook your comments. Once again, our interactive feedback phone line is 888-4617. Some state lawmakers are calling on the governor to prioritize teachers and school staff in the state's vaccine distribution schedule. 17's Ashley Zavala explains.
As state leaders prepare to release California's COVID-19 vaccine distribution schedule, some Republican lawmakers are calling on state leaders to put teachers and school staff near the top of the priority list. Assemblyman Jordan Cunningham says he has serious concerns with the rising mental health issues and learning loss among students.
I think we need to do everything we possibly can to protect our workforce within the education system, to prioritize them the way they should be for vaccinations, and make sure that we can get our schools as soon as practicable, as soon as possible in terms of safety, back into the classroom setting. I think our kids need it, and I think our teachers deserve it.
Assemblyman Cunningham and Assemblyman Patrick O'Donnell sent a letter with the request to Health and Human Services Secretary Dr. Mark Galley Wednesday. State leaders have been preparing a phased vaccination schedule with likely frontline healthcare workers and congregate care staff and residents in the first phase. The lawmakers want teachers and school support staff to be prioritized in the phase right after. California is expected to receive 327,000 first-round doses of the vaccine in mid-December.
How do you break that down in even more detail, more specificity? That plan, detailed plan, will be out this week.
Welcome back. Your time now is 5:22, and the Boeing 737 MAX jet is just one step closer to returning to commercial service after it was grounded for nearly 2 years over safety concerns. The FAA cleared the Boeing 737 MAX to fly again last month, providing that the company and the airlines invest the time and resources necessary to make the proper corrections to the system and train the pilots on the aircraft. Regulators around the world grounded the MAX in March 2019 after the crash of an Ethiopian Airlines jet, less than 5 months after another MAX flown by Indonesia's Lion Air plunged into the Java Sea. American Airlines is the first U.S. airline to return the MAX to its schedule, the daily New York-Miami trip starting December 29th. And speaking of plane travel, some furry friends are getting kicked out of their seats. The Department of Transportation is now cracking down when it comes to animals on aircraft, issuing a sweeping new set of rules. Emotional support animals are no longer considered service animals, so from now on, no more peacocks, pigs, or squirrels. Only dogs that are individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a person with a disability will be allowed to fly with their owner on passenger planes. The only exception, trained dogs that are psychiatric service animals, helping passengers with conditions like anxiety or PTSD.
Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back in your 17 Business Watch. Discovery is the latest media company to jump into the crowded streaming wars. Discovery Plus will debut on January 4th, 2021, and will have an ad-supported tier for $4.99 a month. It will also have an ad-free tier for $6.99 a month. Discovery is also partnering with Verizon, which will give 55 million customers up to 12 months of the ad-free Discovery Plus plan for free, depending on their wireless plan with the carrier. 7-Eleven's introducing its own app wallet. No pin pads to touch, less cash to handle, and a contactless way to pay. That's how the convenience chain's touting its 7-Eleven wallet. Customers can securely load funds to use upon checkout, including cash. Cash must be loaded in stores at the register. The app will be also supported debit or credit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and prepaid 7-Eleven gift cards. Those payment methods can be loaded directly in the app. 7-Eleven says the in-app wallet meets the needs of customers during this global pandemic. Apple's out with its highly anticipated list of the best apps and games of the year. The annual list is compiled by App Store editors who choose the winners based on several factors, including an app's quality, creative design, usability, and the use of Apple technology. The best of 2020 winners include several apps that helped users transition to life at home during a pandemic. Home workout app Wakeout won iPhone App of the Year. Zoom took the top spot as iPad App of the Year, and Disney Plus won for Apple TV App of the Year.
Time now is 5:33, and 17 News is your local election headquarters. And as the coronavirus sets new records every day, Congress is grappling with how to dig the country out of an economic hole that keeps getting deeper. Tracy Potts has more from Washington.
Alex, good morning. This latest compromise includes another $300 a week for people drawing unemployment. It includes more money for airlines and governments, more money for small businesses. No stimulus checks, though. And while lawmakers try to work this out and get something passed, the COVID numbers are getting worse.
What was our initial rhythm?
Wednesday was COVID's deadliest day yet. The virus claimed more than 2,700 American lives. 100,000 are hospitalized. Twice that many tested positive in a day. Record numbers with more to come.
I do think, unfortunately, before we see February, we could be close to 450,000 Americans have died from this virus.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force warns our nation is in a very dangerous place, not only with illness, but income. 20 million are unemployed. More than 50 million could go hungry. Nearly 7 million face eviction.
I know times are both tough, but I believe that with the right policies, we can fundamentally change things.
Congress is slowly inching toward relief.
Finally, this week, we're seeing cracks starting to form in the Democratic leader's stone wall. It was an effort to jumpstart serious negotiations.
President Trump.
It's been like living in hell.
In a video shot by the White House with no media present, still focused on unproven election fraud, while Americans are hurting.
I can go another 6 months, but I really don't know after that.
Desperation setting in with no clear answers. So several plans on the table, the compromise, the Democrat version, the Republican version that they say the president will sign. But so far, no word on any of them coming up for a vote. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.